Hello everyone, my name is Josh and welcome to WHIMS, and today I'm going to give you my review for the 6th episode of Series 9 entitled Plodding On. And this episode has the setup of it's a wrap party for Inside Number 9 Series 9, and what this episode basically functions as is it's essentially a series of vignettes involving cast members and crew members from episodes past who are essentially diving in and out of scenes and essentially providing humour and a lot of interesting backstory and sort of like, interesting little asides. So it's essentially like I suppose the best example I could think of to compare this episode to is sort of like an episode of something like The Office, created by Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant, where it's essentially meant to be like a fly-on-the-wall sort of mockumentary with a lot of, zoom-ins and, a lot of characters, very awkward expressions. And a lot of the humour sort of derives on this very kind of always awkward cringe humour kind of feel to it. But it also has these very quick-witted jokes as well. And I really do think this episode is really big on the humour. But it's also a really wonderful episode in terms of callbacks. So there's a wonderful homage to the very first episode called Sardines, where Catherine Peterson enters the bathroom and she finds Tim Key, who played Ian in that episode, in a bathroom stall. And while they're sharing a few lines of cocaine, they are talking about various projects that they've got lined up next. And a couple of them actually seed the fact, the main story of this episode, which is there's a new TV series that Amazon Prime are producing to do with Dante's Inferno and The Nine Circles of Hell, or The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. And Tim Key is in line to play one of the big major roles. And he is being considered, but there was one person who auditioned at the last minute who they are seriously considering for the role also. And it's also revealed that during one of the filmings of one of the episodes of Inside Number 9 Series 9 called Control Alt Escape, Steve Pemberton had actually collapsed and had to be rushed to hospital. And during this, Reece Shearsmith was very concerned and very upset for his friend, and he just basically, was very upset and heartbroken, and he felt like, going on a hiatus again with the series because he was so worried about his friend. But then it turns out that he's also having a conversation with David Asquith, who was actually meant to be the star of one of the episodes, Hold On Tight, which ended up never happening. That entire exchange with them in the bathroom is also really funny as well, with them basically, talking about the episode that never happened, and David Asquith, basically giving Reece Shearsmith the script that he penned for the episode Hold On Tight and how he wanted it to be, and it sort of focusing on this sort of like carry-on humour kind of thing with a lot of twists and turns. I thought that was actually a really funny insight, because I'm sure a lot of us, myself included, had actually pitched an idea of actually what an episode involving a bus episode of Inside Number 9 would be, including the one that was involved with that episode Hold On Tight. I did actually film a video where I was going to talk about the episode Hold On Tight, and I actually had a whole entire plot planned, but sadly I never used it because I just felt like it was a little bit overkill, and I thought, how long can I take this joke for before it ends up going into the ground very slowly and very painfully? So I ended up scrapping that entire episode and ended up just holding my hands up and saying, oh look, I'm doing 3x3. But yeah, it is a very good idea, and I really do think there are a lot of us out there who are still pitching ideas for Inside Number 9 episodes even after it's gone. Like I even had an Inside Number 9 episode planned that I really wanted to do, and I really would have liked Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith to actually agree to do it for a special, probably, where I use my electric wheelchair as an Inside Number 9, and it's all that stuff. But I thought that was actually that was a bad idea, so I just sort of said, oh no, I don't want to do that. But yeah, it's a very interesting idea, but I thought it was really funny just seeing all these characters just come back, all these cast members come back as these very exaggerated versions of themselves. And I like the fact that there is an interview that Reece Shearsmith does in the bathroom with one of the cast members who's doing a podcast, and he essentially talks about, Reece Shearsmith's job opportunity and what he's planning on doing next. And Shearsmith basically says that he's got an idea for a detective series called Plodding On, which is sort of like Holmes and Watson kind of 18th century, 19th century type, detective series, kind of like Ripper Street or Sherlock, with, it's sort of its homages to sort of Victorian era crime, but then it's also got a little bit of a horrible histories type flavour to it as well, with the way it sort of has comedy and, modern day satire to kind of, sort of be sort of like, a contrast to the Victorian era kind of thing, sort of like Horrible Histories but for the Victorian era kind of thing. It sounds really interesting, but then again, it could very easily be terrible, but who knows. But yeah, it's actually really funny, and of course, when he finds out what Steve Pemberton was actually doing when the cameras cut and he was being rushed to hospital, he says one of my favourite lines of the entire series, recontextualised again in a much more bitter and much more betrayed and much more solemn way. You lying fucking monster. And I really love his delivery of that, but I love Steve Pemberton's delivery of that as well in the episode The Bill, where he just sort of runs in and he does his Pauline shouty voice where he just goes, you lying fucking monster. I love that line so much. I love that line delivery so much. It's so hilarious. But yeah, I prefer Steve Pemberton's read of that line because it was much more it felt much more true to life in that respect. But I love Reece Shearsmith in this episode because he really does want to collaborate with someone else. He even FaceTimes Mark Gatiss, who has just finished Sherlock, and he doesn't want to do another detective drama that's a period piece. So yeah, he's also someone who's kind of a little bit two-faced and a little bit of a diva, because when he quits the call with Reece, he goes, without even checking to see if he's actually cut the call, he just goes, oh, thank fuck he's gone, or something like that. And I thought, oh, that's really horrible. And again, poor Reece ends up, getting, left in the dust after, the end of a successful TV series. And not to worry, Reece, there's still plenty of opportunities for you in the future. There's a lot of good acting that he does as well, but I really did feel sorry for him in that instance where he was just begging all sorts of different people to collaborate with him on this idea that he has, and I just really felt like that's very relatable. It kind of reminded me of the writer in the episode The Winner Is, who kept on asking various different directors and various different producers to produce his screenplay or whatever. I really like that because that felt very relatable. It felt like oh, that's what people tend to do. Like they tend to push their creativity onto others and say that, would you like to produce this show? Would you like to read this script, or at least read this, or read my novel or something like that? And it really does feel very kind of sad, and I felt very seen for him in that respect. But I just felt like this episode was a very sweet love letter to Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith's legacy with this show, because the fact that this show was able to get so many different people involved, and the fact that they were able to do so many interesting stories year after year, month after month, all these different stories and all these different ideas, and so many twists and turns. But then there were so many episodes where it just took a very laid back approach, kind of like this episode. But what I really like about it is it really was a great show, and it really managed to stay true to itself throughout all 9 series. And usually when a TV show, especially a sitcom or a comedy, tends to be on the air, they only last for about 3 seasons, and that's because it's not because it doesn't get a lot of good comments. It's because basically they just decide not to make any more, and I think that's always the case. But with every new episode, they just kind of said to themselves, well, we've done the 6, let's see if it gets picked up. And they always say, oh, can you do 6 more for us? Can you do 6 more for us? And they did this year after year after year after year. And by the time they got to the 7th, they just said to themselves, well, wouldn't it be great if we got to 9, and then after that we can end it. And then luckily they were able to get to the end, and that was really wonderful. So I really do like the fact that they were able to do this, and they were able to make these great stories. It kept us coming back for more time after time. Even though technically it is an anthology series, they were able to really kind of give us a whole entire box of chocolates of all these different stories, all these different flavours. And what I really love about this show is, to quote Steve Pemberton, inside number 9 is like when you get a box of chocolates and one of them's poisoned. And that's effectively what inside number 9 is for a lot of people. But I really just love this show, and it's going to be really sad to see it go. But like I said before, I'm not going to be giving up on this series just yet. I have the classic series still to do, individual episodes for that, but then I've also got other things that I've got planned as well. I have a pitch that I actually wanted to get off my chest. I wanted to... my next big major project is going to be on the best TV shows... the best films of all time, the 250 best films of all time according to IMDb. And I wanted to do this because a subscriber of mine had actually, given me the idea, and I actually thought, oh, that's actually a really good idea. So I'm deciding to actually do that as my next big project, and I'm going to be going from the 250th spot all the way down to number 1. And I know a lot of film fans amongst you are going to be very excited for that, but that's my next big project. And of course, I've got Angel Dust for Reader's Corner. Sorry, my niece is currently heading off to bed at the minute, and yeah, my niece likes to be very chatty with her parents. She likes to talk in her own language. Yeah, yeah. Sorry about that, but yeah, but yeah, I really am excited for what's coming next, and it's going to be very sad to see this show go. But I am really excited to see what I'm going to do next. And if you guys are willing to stick around, I'd be very happy to see you guys just basically, come with me on this journey to go and go through the 250 greatest films according to IMDb. But yeah, it's going to be very nice to move on to other things. But yeah, I really am going to be sad when it eventually all goes. And I just want to say before I sign off on this particular episode, it is going to be very strange because this series was actually the series that actually made me want to start YouTube, because during the pandemic I was originally going to start YouTube, but because I was either very nervous about it and wondering how people are going to take to me, like I'm not like James A. Janice and Dead Meat Productions. I'm not like, the Nostalgia Critic, where I have these review formats, but then there'll be a plot going on somewhere, and I'm literally like reacting like, what's going on? Oh, the ship's crashing or whatever. I'm not like that kind of YouTuber. I'm not like that kind of reviewer. I'm not even like, James A. Janice, where I have catchphrases and I'll say, hi, welcome to WHIMS, where we tally up all the favourite victims in all our favourite horror movies. I'm not like that at all. I'm very laid back. I'm very kind of like just switch the camera on and let's just talk. And I'm more like, if I am going to be characterised by anything, I'm more like that kind of guy that if you were to, I'm more like Merlin the Wizard, I suppose, where I'm kind of like someone who just, whoever happens to drop in, I've always got a review for you that's, worth talking about, or something worth talking about for a video. And that's effectively my philosophy, is I'm Merlin the Wizard, but if he was on YouTube, basically. And all of my subscribers, or all of my viewers, are just basically the War Orc King Arthur falling from the roof and into his home. And I'll be like, oh, you did drop into tea after all, that kind of thing. That's kind of me in terms of me being a YouTuber. And it's like, that's basically me. So I am going to be very excited, but I am also very sad as well. But yeah, I'm very excited for what's going to come next, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys think of all the things that I'm going to do next. And yeah, I was going to originally do something else. I was going to do Black Mirror, or I was going to do Doctor Who. But because Doctor Who and Black Mirror were quite popular shows, I thought, oh no, I don't want to do this. And then Inside Number 9 came into my life, and I just thought, I've got to talk about this show. After watching Sardines, I thought, I know what I'm going to do for YouTube now. And I was so happy when I watched the end of Sardines that I found myself kind of going, oh, I want to do this for my next show. Because I wanted to do an anthology, because with every anthology, it's like one episode is its own story with a beginning, middle, and end. So I thought this was a great way of easing me into YouTube and things like that. But in terms of other projects that I've got lined up, I'm going to be doing a review for a book called Falling Down by Robert Cromier, and I'm looking forward to reviewing that book for you guys on this channel for my book reviews anyway. And I've got a comic book review. I'm going to be reviewing my first ever comic book in the form of the first issue of The BOYZ, and I'm going to be comparing the first season to the very first issue, or at least the first couple of episodes to the first season of The BOYZ. So I will be talking about a TV show and doing a side-by-side, sort of like a my version of a Lost in Adaptation kind of thing, but except not doing that format, if it makes sense, because I don't want to get sued by the Dom. So I'm going to be doing like a comparison between the show and the comic book, so I'm really looking forward to that as well. I'm also looking forward to sharing more short stories for Reader's Corner and doing more Angel Dust for you guys, because I really do love that short story in parts. And I'm looking forward to sharing other things with you guys as well, with what I've got next. So yeah, I've got tons of stuff planned, and I hope all you guys can stick around and check out more stuff with me. And I hope you're all doing very well. This has been my review for Plodding Along, and I hope you're all doing very well. This has been WHIMS with this has been Josh with WHIMS Cool Industry Musings, or WHIMS. Hope you're all having a very good day. Take care. Bye bye for now.